Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am coming at you live from, if you're like, where's Brianna? I look like I'm on some Bahama chic vacation, right? I'm not on a vacation. I'm actually at my parents' house watching their dog, and I got Annabelle over here. My other dog said they're having a great time. And I wanted to come on for this Facebook Live. The topic of, first of all, let me introduce myself. If you are brand new to this group, welcome. I am Brianna, and I am the founder of this group. I help teen girls and young women end depression, anxiety, self-loathing, self-harm, suicidal thoughts, so they can step into their power, their purpose, their confidence, and really be the best versions of themselves. So that is what I do, but let's move forward, shall we? I don't have much time. I do have a group coaching session in just a little bit, and if we need to break this up in a couple, hello Kelly, hi, good to see you, and hello Janine. This is kind of like a big topic, and so I'm probably not going to do it justice in the short amount of time that I have. So, excuse me, so we can, we might do a two-parter on this one. So the topic of this Facebook Live is, how can you protect your daughter from unhealthy, toxic relationships? Let's define this before we get into it, okay? What is a unhealthy relationship? What is a toxic relationship? Well, this can be this can be different things. It doesn't always have to be sometimes we hear this and we think relationship, right? But it doesn't necessarily have to be like a romantic relationship. This could also be friendships, because there's plenty of friendships that can be toxic and can be unhealthy. I should know. I had these back in the day. So I know all about this. So it doesn't necessarily have to be relationships. But so what do these unhealthy, toxic relationships look like? Well, it could be, so let's talk about if it is in a relationship. This could be your daughter being in a relationship with someone who is jealous, someone who is verbally and or physically abusive, right? A lot emotional abuse. Unfortunately, this happens far too frequently with so many girls are getting into abusive relationships. And some of these girls think it's not that bad because, well, he's not hitting me, so it's not that bad, right? Oh, sure, he says some unkind things to me, but he really loves me, right? And these girls get they block out all of the bad and all of the shit that's going on, and all they see is what they want to see, right? Hey, adults do this as well. This is not just teenage girls and young women. Adults do this as well, right? But for the sake of this topic and this group and what I do here, we are talking about teen girls and young women. So girls will turn a blind eye to a lot that is going on. So again, we can have jealousy, we can have controlling, we can have narcissistic behavior, we could have oh my gosh, there's so much. So this is relationship. Somebody, I had a client who had a boyfriend who used to tell her what to wear, don't wear that makeup, don't wear this. I also had another client who was in a relationship with someone, and he was constantly texting her, and she had to have her phone on her at all times. And if she did not respond when he called her or texted her, it was bad. And so she even went to the bathroom with the phone. I remember our very first coaching session, I was like, why do you stay? Why are you in this relationship? And it took her a long time. She eventually did get out of the relationship, but she stayed in it for way too long. And it just got worse and worse. Okay. So a lot of controlling behavior. And I think the thing that a lot of girls don't understand is, what are the signs, what to look for, right? That's not really the purpose of this Facebook Live. It's how to protect your daughter from it. But I guess that kind of plays a part in this, right? Your daughter has to look for the signs. She has to be educated. I think this is about You guys, you parents having the conversation with your daughters about, okay, what would it look like to be in a, like, if you're dating someone who's a narcissist, like, what does that look like? And if you don't know, like, educate yourself on that so you can educate your daughter. Because I think a lot of these girls are going into these relationships like blinded. They don't understand. They don't know what they're getting into. And before it's like, what can happen very quickly is they just dive in deep, right? Somebody is charming and charismatic and like, oh my God, you're so beautiful, you're so gorgeous. Like this person is giving your daughter everything that she wants and needs, and she feels so special and so loved. And that's how they almost like groom and bring these girls in. And then once they've got these girls, then it's like all hell breaks loose. And then the truth of who these guys really are, or girls or guys, right, is becomes apparent, right? And it becomes clear. But then at that point, your daughter is so invested, she's so entrenched in all of this, that it's like she's not seeing anything else. She's totally in love, and she's not willing to get out of it. Okay, so that's the relationships, but we can also talk about the toxic, unhealthy friendships. Okay, there's so many girls that are in friendships that are not serving and supporting them, and they stay in these friendships because, for a number of different reasons. They stay in these friendships, and these people make them feel bad about themselves. They say mean things to themselves, and then they don't know how to stick up for themselves. They don't know how to say, hey, that hurt my feelings when you said that. Hey, that's not really cool what you just did. I don't like how that makes me feel. Can you please stop? They don't understand this whole boundaries, how to set boundaries, right? And I always say this to my clients. It's like, I never learned this growing up, but we actually get to pick and choose the friendships and relationships that we are in. Isn't that crazy? But we do. We get to pick the friendships and the relationships that we are in because it's a choice. It's a choice who we decide to spend time with. It is a choice who we decide we want to date. It is a choice who we say we want to, right, be in a relationship with. It's all a choice. And I think these girls don't understand that, or they forget that. They never learn that. And so they get into these relationships, these friendships, and then they don't know how to get out of them. Okay? So the one thing that I want to go back to was the question of all of this. How can you protect your daughter from unhealthy, toxic relationships? Right? Here's how you protect your daughter. Your daughter has to learn confidence now. Not later, not next week, next month, next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Like, she has to learn how to love herself. Here's why this is so important, and this is the single biggest thing that's going to protect your daughter from unhealthy, toxic relationships. Because if your daughter doesn't love herself and she doesn't know how to love herself, when she gets involved in a friendship that's toxic, unhealthy, when she gets involved in a relationship that is not supporting her, whether it's verbally abusive, physically abusive, whether the guy or girl treats her like absolute crap, like, she is not going to be able to say anything. She is not going to be able to get out of that if she has no self-worth and self-value. If she doesn't have those things, she's going to be a people pleaser, and then she's going to just stay entrenched in the toxic relationship, the unhealthy relationship, or the friendship. And she's not going to know how to get out of it, right? A lot of girls, when they get in these unhealthy relationships, think that this is what love is supposed to look like. Well, and then they make stories as if, like, to defend the person, right? Well, he really does love me. He really does care for me. And then they make excuses. Well, he was just having a bad day. Well, he doesn't do that often. He doesn't push me around that often. It's only happened a couple of times. So, right, then they start making excuses for that behavior, right? He's only forced me to do that 2 times. It's not a big deal, right? So they lose their power, they lose their voice, they lose, they feel like they're trapped. They feel like they're trapped. And because they don't have that confidence, that self-love within themselves, it makes it very hard for them to leave. And what happens too often is parents are seeing the warning signs and, oh my God, this is a bad relationship, like my daughter needs to get out of it. And why is it so difficult for a parent to pull their daughter out of an unhealthy, toxic relationship? Well, because you can't watch your daughter 24/7, right? You can't put a deadbolt on her bedroom. Stay there 24/7. Like, you can't do that. Even if you wanted a restraining order, that's not foolproof either, right? And so all of these things, you may be like, there may be parents that are, by the way, I didn't say this. If you guys are watching live or the replay, let me know that you're here. If you're watching live, just say live. If you're watching the replay, please comment replay. And if you have questions or comments or anything, please leave them below. And so what happens is you may be like, oh my God, my daughter is, this relationship is horrible. We have to get her out of it. And your daughter's not going to listen to you. And all the grounding in the world is not going to really keep her away. Right? Now I'm talking about a relationship, not so much a friendship. Right? A toxic relationship, an unhealthy relationship is very addictive. It's very addicting. Once your daughter is in it, it is very hard for her to pull herself out of it. Now, this is why when your daughter loves herself, when your daughter has all the confidence in the world, when she has self-worth and self-value, you know how she's going to show up differently? Well, one, she's going to see the warning signs, right? And two, she's going to stand up for herself. She's going to say things like, hell no, you can't talk to me like that. Goodbye. She's going to say, you cannot treat me that way. I'm done. I don't want to be in this relationship. This is not serving me. This is not supporting me. Goodbye. Right? These are all the things that what kind of girl or what kind of young woman is going to express herself in this way? Is it going to be a girl that has low confidence, low self-worth, doesn't know who she really is? Or is it going to be someone who like has a lot of self-worth and self-value and is like, I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm going to express myself. That's the kind of girl or young woman that's going to get out of one of these relationships before it even starts. So there's a lot of components that goes into this and how to protect your daughter, but nothing is as strong and as foolproof as your daughter learning how to love herself, like now. And I have to tell you guys something. As much as you love your daughter, that doesn't mean that your daughter then goes and uses that to go love herself. Right? I think that's the biggest misconception is that we feel like, well, I love my daughter so much, surely she loves herself, right? Because like we give her all this love, her mom, her dad, like she gets so much love from her family, from her siblings. Surely she loves herself, right? So this is not a problem. She's confident. She loves herself. She knows her self-worth and her self-value. No way. That's not how it works. Self-love it's separate. The love that you give to your daughter is separate from the love that she gives to herself. Right? That's the truth. That is the honest truth. So even if you are loving your daughter, I'm sure you guys all I'm sure you guys are all loving your daughters, right? You give your children all of the love, right? But it doesn't mean that they have that love for themselves. It's two separate kinds of love. Hold on, I'm just going to Oh, I don't know the time because when I'm on a Facebook Live, it doesn't tell me the time. I am going to have to run in just a minute because I do have a group coaching session, and I'm guessing the time is like now. And I'm not wearing a watch, so I don't know, but I'm going to guess it's about now. So I can listen, there's more to talk about this topic, and if you have questions, please leave them below. It's an important topic, and it's something that we need to really pay attention to and listen to and think about, because so many girls are falling into this trap. They're falling into this trap of being in unhealthy friendships with like people that treat them like absolute shit. Excuse my language, but it's the truth. Or they're getting into relationships with guys or girls that are totally toxic, controlling, narcissists, jealous, verbally abusive, physically abusive. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare that you never want your daughter to be in, okay? And the way that you combat it is your daughter has to learn how to love herself now. Now is the time. I always say, like, when's the time to work on somebody's mental health? Now? When's the time I should learn how to love myself? Now? It's now. It's all now. This work is so important. But this is the single biggest thing that's going to help your daughter protect her for the rest of her life. Really, it's for the rest of her life, because as long as she's living, she's going to be having friends, friendships, relationships. And it's so important that your daughter learns how to stand up for herself, how to see the red flags, how to know what is okay behavior to accept and what is like, no way, I'm out, I'm running for the hills, this is not serving me. I don't care how cute you are. I don't care how many times you say you love me. This right here, not love. Goodbye. You want your daughter to have that. You want your daughter to be able to stand up to anyone that is trying to tear her down and say, no, we're not doing this. Goodbye. If you want help with this, reach out to me. This is what I do. I'm helping teen girls and young women to step into their confidence and their self-worth and their self-value. I can't tell you how many girls are struggling and suffering from whether it's toxic friendships, toxic relationships. And once they're in, I'm not saying they can't get out, but it is very, very difficult, especially when they're like entrenched in a relationship and the guy or girl has them like wrapped around their finger, right? And I could go on and on. I'm gonna wrap this up. If you have questions, if you have comments, leave them below. Private message me. If you want to hop on a call, if your daughter is in a toxic relationship, friendship, and you want to talk more about this, reach out to me. Okay? I will leave you with that. Sending you guys all so much love. Bye for now.